Hello, everyone. Today I have a really special episode for you. I am excited because I have Regina Bergman on with me, and she and I work together as coaches. We have separate businesses, but we're in the same genre of being able to work with businesses. So I want to tell you a little bit about her before she hops on. She's an international best-selling author, public speaker, marketing strategist, and business growth specialist. So Regina not only helps transform local businesses, both online and offline, and local economies, and she helps entrepreneurs realize their vision of impacting lives and changing the world. So she helps 6 and 7-figure business owners who want to accelerate their growth and add multiple 6 figures to their net profit so that they can live the life they dream of while creating the business that they love, but could sell tomorrow if they choose to. I don't know about you. That last part about feeling like they could sell tomorrow if they choose to is a super important fact that we all need to think about as business owners. Are we ready for that? So I want you to hop in today, take some time, and join us as we have a little bit of a discussion. Welcome, Regina. I'm so happy to have you on this episode today.
I am thrilled to be here, Christy. It is a true pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Sure. So I want to kind of jump off and ask you one of the biggest things that I think come up about what we do is what do we enjoy most about running our own business? Because that can be something that we don't really talk about much.
Yeah, I agree. Because we're always helping someone else with their business, right?
Yes, yes.
There's a couple of things that really resonate with me on that. One is I love being part of the ripple effect.
Mm.
I love the opportunity of helping someone else make a difference in the world because I know that each person that I help is going to impact multiple lives. So really get to see that ripple go around the world these days. And these days we live in a truly global society, which I absolutely love, that we have so many opportunities that never before existed in the history of man that we have today. And so that's the first one. I think the second one is the incredible friendships that I have made and relationships that I've made as I've grown this business and as I've worked with others. My clients become my greatest friends. I know a lot of business people say, oh, you shouldn't be, especially coaches. They say you shouldn't be friends with your clients. They should be your clients. But they have become my greatest friends and allies. And then we network together. Not only network together, we build things together. We do projects together. And it's just, it's just the excitement never ends.
Well, and I think that is something that's really important for us because let's face it, when we start working with them, often we start to take on some of the things that are happening to them and we can feel what's happened to them, right? And sometimes I can walk away and feel like, oh gosh, there's a little bit of heaviness, around this. But then
Right.
we get the opportunity to step away from it, right? And be able to help realize, okay, there are some options that they have,
Yes.
and being able to help them and see them come through that and say, okay,
Right.
guess what? Here's some things that I can see from the outside.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
going to share an example with you
Yes, I'd
that
love to
your
hear that.
listeners might relate to or might take that home a little bit more. I worked with a young lady in England. Again, this opportunity to work globally now is just phenomenal. I love it. And she had been the victim of gang rape as a young teenager. And of course, that had totally changed her life, obviously. But she was on a mission to help other women. And so she wanted to put on events for them and have these retreats for them. And just the work that she was doing to help others was just incredible. And just to be a part of that. And the energy, every time we would get together, the energy of that conversation was so high. You that when I hung up the not hung up the phone, we were on Zoom. When we hung up Zoom, when we got off the call, I had to go express that energy somehow because it was just so palpable. And so I would go find my husband wherever he was in the house and say, "Have I ever told you I love what I do?" No, hon, because he heard that so many times. But that's the kind of stuff that keeps you coming back day after day and doing what you do. When you see the impact that they can make,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you have a little part of helping them make that impact. And that's that ripple effect that I talk about.
Yes.
It's just incredible. And she's gone on to do great things. Turned out she didn't do the things we were actually planning at that time. Some things came up. She wound up not doing those events, but she shifted and was able to take her work in a different direction, still helping those women who had suffered similar abuses as she had.
And that difference is, you're right, the ripple effect. And I don't really think about the ripple effect very often, but the ripple effect that you're talking about does happen in a
And
major
can be
way.
huge. Yes, absolutely
Yes.
huge. The lives that they impact, and then the lives that they impact, and so forth. And even if each person only impacts one life, but they're going to do much more than that. But it's just, yeah, it just mushrooms, and to be a
How,
part of that is just incredible.
how long have you been doing this now?
I started this business in January of 2015,
Okay.
and I
You've had a
started
lot
off
of
doing
ripple
life
effect.
coaching. Yeah, a lot of ripple effects. I started off doing life coaching,
Okay.
but quickly realized that I wanted to switch into business coaching. And I also have a passion to work with families and couples as well as businesses. And so it was kind of an interesting shift of some things that happened there. So my first book was an international bestseller, and it's a book about marriage. It's called How to Bulletproof Your Marriage.
Hmm.
And my husband and I developed a retreat based on the principles in the book. We would do a weekend retreat with couples. We did a couple of those as betas in the bed and breakfast that I had at the time. Brought the couples in, put them up for the weekend, fed them, took them out on the lake, just had a wonderful time with them. But the feedback that we got was phenomenal from it. Man, I want to do more of these. I want to do more of these. That was that real excitement, right? Well, I had trouble getting men to come to them, especially business
Hmm.
owners. So I thought, okay, there's more than one way to do this. Let's go in, let's go in the business door and help the business. And in helping the business, we're helping the marriage. Because how many marriages suffer when the business is struggling? How
Yes.
many families are, in crisis because the business is suffering? And one of my missions is to create that generational impact on families that's a positive impact. We have such a high divorce rate in this country. 1 out of 2 marriages ends in divorce, and many
Yes.
of those happen in the years after the children leave the home. Even children leave the home, the parents split because they didn't nurture the marriage on as they were going through these years. And so it's like, okay, I can make an impact on both sides by coming in the business door. Let's fix your business, and in the process, you have the opportunities to improve your relationships. So you'll always see relationships in my, when I'm posting about what I'm doing, it will often include enhancing and strengthening relationships because I feel that the freedom that they're getting in their business because the business is running successfully gives them the
And
opportunity to really devote more time to the family.
the opposite is true as well, because I always talk about how you don't have business problems, you have personal problems that leak into your business.
True. It's
And
true.
so it really does affect, it's
Absolutely.
simpatico,
Yeah,
right? Like the two just they work
exactly.
together. If something isn't going well at home, it's going
Right.
to impact how you show up at work and the
Right.
decisions that you make at work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the same thing will happen on the other direction too. If things
Right.
are crappy at the business all day and you come home,
Right.
the last thing you want to do is deal with what's ever at home.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And then
what a
children
powerful
see
way to
just
approach
stress.
it.
Yeah. It's just, and it's like, I don't want to beat my head against the wall trying to get people to come to this retreat that's going to have an amazing impact on their relationship and their family and create an opportunity for them to show their children what a successful marriage looks like so they can go out and duplicate it. And, but I thought, okay, I go in this other door. I can still have an impact over there, and maybe eventually get them to the marriage retreats. And I've stopped doing those for a while, but I'm really thinking about maybe bringing those back on board. They
What a
would,
great thing it would do, I'm sure.
yeah. So
Well, I'm, since most of my audience is more of that creative entrepreneur type, right?
right,
I think that I I want to talk about a little about what you see happening in that creative entrepreneur space for small business owners that tend to bother you the most. What do you see that's happening around there?
and this really, I'm really glad you asked this question because this really leads to one of my other passions, and that is that what I see happening is that we pour our heart and souls into our business, right? We're there every day. We're the first one in, the last one out. Whether we're working from home or we're working in a brick and mortar somewhere, we pour everything we have into that business, and we think, wow, we've built this great business, and maybe it's doing some really good revenue. Maybe it's you've got some good revenue coming in, and you reach that point where you say, okay, we're ready to sell the business. Let's either retire, let's go do something fun, whatever that is. And you reach out to a business broker and they say, we can't do anything for you because your business was not built in such a way that it has value to a buyer. You've poured everything into it for years, and you walk away hat in hand crying because you've got nothing.
Mhm.
Or you don't make it to that point and you pass away, and your family has no financial legacy. There's nothing for them to sell because you didn't build the business properly. This is why I'm passionate about profit acceleration and exit strategies, so that we sit down and look at that business and what is it going to take to make this business profitable and desirable for a buyer to want to buy it. So that when you go to that broker, they can say, yeah, we can help you sell that business because it has value to a buyer.
Yes. That that hits home for me because um I guess it was probably about 15 to 20 years into having the shop. We were going to move to Tennessee, so my husband could focus on his career in music, and had an opportunity given to him. So he went ahead and moved, and I was going to take my flower shop and put it up for sale. At that time, I was doing over 500K, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, surely this is worth something, right?
Right.
Went that avenue. Um, I even brought it back up. It was um, 2 years after 9/11. So I
Right.
lost 40% of my business during 9/11, was able to come and bring it back within 2 years and over, to back to the high six figures. And I was like, surely, this hard work that I'm doing, we could be able to do
Yeah.
this. We can make the move and I'll be down in Nashville, right? I spent $10,000 working with one of these companies to try and
Right.
sell and
Right.
pay for the advertising and 6 months
And
worth,
nothing.
nothing,
Yeah.
only to find out that I get to keep it. And
Yeah.
my husband saying, obviously, we're not supposed to, make this a full move. So, I will come back and we need to strengthen up the shop
Yeah.
so it can get to a point
Right.
where it can be that way.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And a lot of times I think, and you can correct me if this is not true for you, but a lot of times I think that the business owner is thinking, okay, I need more revenue. I need more revenue to make it attractive. And it's
Yep.
not the revenue that makes it attractive.
No, it's
And
not.
and yeah, and I don't know if most folks are aware of this or not, probably not, but of the phone calls that business brokers get from business owners, they turn away 95% of those calls. 95% of them they can do nothing for because the business wasn't built properly. So I'm on a mission to change that.
And that is a perfect mission to be on because
Yeah.
nobody wants to be in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, lives are broken at that point, you know? I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day and their clients had gone to a broker and they literally walked away crying, the man and his wife crying because they thought they had something they could sell and they didn't.
What matters at the end of the day, you're right, is the profit that
Yes.
on that bottom line. If it's profitable, it's it's you've got that
And
means you've got a
duplicatable.
model.
Yeah. It's got to be profitable and your processes have to be duplicatable. So you've got to have built the structure, not just the profit, but the structure in that business so that somebody else can walk in and do what you do without you. Because let's face it, they don't want to buy you, they want to buy your business, hopefully.
Right, right.
Right?
And you want to be able to walk away.
Exactly. And go, yeah, let's go do something else. And that's why in my bio it talks about build a business that you could sell today if you want to. But if you're not ready to leave it, because so many times when we talk to entrepreneurs, they'll say, "Oh, I don't plan to ever leave, you know. I'm just gonna keep doing this forever." Well, you may believe that today, but you want to have the option of
Mhm,
if your mind changes on that, you can sell it for a good
mhm.
price. And it can feed your family. It can build that legacy. It can provide for that lifestyle that you want to continue. You know, it's but you got to
Nobody
build it
really goes
properly.
into business thinking about how they are going to get out of the business.
Exactly.
But yet we're always working for this elusive, seven-figure number
Right.
and
Right.
realizing that someday we're going to, and in the back of our minds, we're going to be able to enjoy what we're doing, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
it's really imperative for us to show up and start thinking about, okay, what is the end goal here?
Exactly.
What does it
Yeah.
look like? I think
I know.
it's very powerful to approach it that way with your clients.
Right.
So, well, what besides doing the procedural things, and I get that it has to be duplicatable, what kind of profit strategies do you recommend highest?
My highest is also the most fun. And that is collaborating with others.
Hmm.
And and networking leads you to that, building your client base leads you to that, but being open to those collaborations. How can you and I come together and create something better than I can do on my own or you can do on your own? And we bring both of our audiences to it and we create something really amazing,
Hmm.
right? So I love doing collaborations. I also, do like the affiliate process that can take place in that as well, or in any program that you put out there, you can have other people market it for you. That is a
Yes.
great profit strategy. Networking and collaborations are networking done properly. It's not just
Okay,
showing
when
up.
you say that, let's talk about networking done properly. What does that look like?
Well, it doesn't look like walking into a networking event, just handing everybody your business card and saying, "This is what I do."
Amen to that.
Yes, and it doesn't mean that you bomb everybody on your social media networks, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all of that with, "Hey, I do this. Can do you need it?"
So true.
But it does mean building relationships, coming back to relationships again, especially in the online part. You've got to build those relationships before you look, and you want to serve them first. So find out about them, whether you're in person in a networking event or you're online, learn about them. And how can you add value to what they're doing before you look for them to add value to you? I typically will have a conversation with someone about, hey, let's get together and explore how we could collaborate to support one another in our clients. But I do that after we've had some conversation, something that where we've broken the ice and gotten to know each other a bit. But don't just, go in and be that person, whether online or in person, who's just there for yourself. Have a genuine interest in the other parties and in helping them succeed. Be willing to introduce them to other people who can help them. I mean, when
Yes.
I meet somebody, I'm constantly thinking, okay, who do I know that would serve them well, that they could joint venture with, that they could collaborate with, that would be a good client or a good service provider for them, and make those introductions.
And that makes such a difference. One of the things that I remember, and I know that a lot of the entrepreneurs that are listening probably can attest to too, that you get so busy in your space, in your shop, in your studio, working, that you're like, the last thing that you want to do is probably take time out and go attend like a networking event, right?
Right,
Or go attend some meeting, and you're kind of like, well, what is this going to do? I have this laundry list of things that I've got to get done.
right.
What? And then, like I remember I joined a BNI group at one point when I had the flower shop. um I went to the local one and I was like, okay, I'm going to be a part I'm going to give this a good old try,
Yeah,
right?
right,
There was such a thing of, when you go to the BNI, you have to have 3 referrals to somebody else, and all of that. There were like stipulations around it, and I was
ah,
so stressed out that it was easier for me not to go even after I had
right,
paid for it, because I'm like,
right,
I'm I have this laundry list of things to do, and yet I'm supposed to come up with referrals for other people that are in the group.
right.
It's not coming to me right now. What's
What
the
did you do about that?
Well, that would be like, I would seriously have to think about, okay, who do I connect with? Well, like, first of all, who is in that group? Who is in the group that seemed to um have like a type of business that we could connect well? Was there a baker? Was there
Right,
somebody that was had a venue that
right,
I could connect with in the first place? And then
right,
it was amazing how some genuine referral opportunities would come up. If someone didn't tell me I had to, I'm a natural like connector. So
good.
um when I took the stress off of having to do it,
Yeah,
it was way more natural. Do you have any
right.
tips on that?
I think what you're hitting on there to some degree is that being authentic, being natural, being you, not trying to be somebody else or fake it till you make it kind of a thing, but
Right.
just being yourself and having a genuine interest in the success of the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And how can I help them be more successful? Do I
Mm-hmm.
know, and just really, again, being aware of your own network, who's in there, who do you know? And maybe you don't know the person that they need to know, but you know someone who does know the person they need to know. So I sometimes introduce people just to the connector, to the person that I know makes connections for people, and say, I've got this person over here who needs X. Do you have somebody in your network
Just
that would be a
someone
good
good
fit
for
for
you to
them?
meet. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then when I make the connections, when I usually do that via email, and I will do an email addressed to both parties. and introduce them to one another. And if they're on LinkedIn, I put their LinkedIn profile, the link to their LinkedIn profile in the letter. Here's John. He does XYZ. Here's his LinkedIn profile. Sally, me, or John meets Sally. Sally is blah, blah, blah. Here's her LinkedIn profile. So they can do a little research on the other person before they meet them as well. And
Such
then,
good tips. Such good tips.
thank you. But I feel it serves them so that they can have a better first interaction because they've already overcome the first hurdle of what do you do? Well, now they've already checked them out. They know a little bit about them. They can look at their posts. They can, see more about them and whether or not they think they might be a good fit. Do the research on people. That's important to do the research on people, whether that's on LinkedIn or Facebook or just Googling that person's name and seeing what pops up. Do your research.
That's going to make a
See how
difference
you can.
too.
It makes a difference.
It's amazing
Absolutely.
just taking a few minutes out. Like if you could take 10 minutes out of your day just to look at somebody else's business, perhaps even look at their business model, what's going on with them, or what jumps out at you about what they do that's unique
Right.
or different, right?
Right.
And saying, okay, how can this work for both of us? And how can this work for them in the best way?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do?
Right.
Because
Come
when
with
you
an
focus
attitude of
not on you,
serving.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Always come with an attitude of serving first.
it makes the
Serve,
difference.
serve, serve. Yes.
So, if someone's listening today and they're thinking more about um, how do I change my trajectory of how do I prepare to get out of this?
Right.
What's the best way for them to reach out to you and see how they can figure things out?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn as Regina. I think I'm Regina Partain Bergman on
Okay.
LinkedIn. Um,
And I'm going
and
to
so
put
they can
these
reach out to me
in the
there. And
notes. I'll
then
be putting them
right.
in the notes. Yep.
And feel free to just, email me even at regina@bridgeportstrategy.com. Be delighted to visit with anyone. I have a little process that I put folks through that I call a possibility call. It's a 15-minute call. It's not a sales call. There's no obligation, but we'll put your numbers through my simulator that I utilize and show you what's possible in your business if
Mhm.
you address certain areas in it, what you can do in revenue and profit.
It's
So
powerful.
it is powerful, isn't it?
So, well, great. Okay. So
Yeah.
before we end our time,
Okay.
I always like to ask a couple of strange questions just to make it fun, right? Okay. So, what is the most useless talent that you have?
And I have to tell you, as I looked at these questions, I sat down with my husband. I said, okay, I need help. What I came up with was I have this amazing talent for him that if he misplaces something, I can find it fairly quickly. And usually, he's been searching for it, can't find it anywhere. And I say, okay, he'll come and get me. And I said, okay. And okay, here it is, and
Within minutes.
within minutes usually, or seconds a lot of times. But I can't do it for myself. That's where the useless part comes in. I can't find my own things I misplace.
You know what? That's a really good talent because I get to that point too. I think I might be a little bit more like that as well.
Uh-huh.
Something happens for me and I can't find it. I am like, "Rah," and then,
It works beautifully on for him, but for myself, it's like I'll search forever.
okay, last question.
Huh.
How do you like your coffee?
And so this one, I'm going to give you a trick answer. I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
So I like my coffee as hot chocolate or ginger tea.
Okay. Well, I'm with you with the hot chocolate. I don't know about the ginger tea, but
Tell you
I'm
about the,
totally
have
with
you,
you.
do you use fresh ginger at all? Have you ever used fresh ginger?
Not for a tea.
Okay, so I chop
Is
it
that the
up.
key?
That is the key. So I heat my water and I chop up some fresh ginger and I have a little tea holder thing I
Yep.
put it in and I put it in there and then I add some lemon juice and a lot of times I'll add a little bit of cranberry juice as well. And
Mm.
that's my ginger tea. And I just let that ginger steep in there for a while. And ginger has natural immune boosting properties. That's hard to say. Immune boosting properties. Keeps me healthy as well.
That's awesome. Well,
How I
I'm
like my
gonna have to
coffee.
try it. I'm gonna have to try that because I do like tea. I do like hot
Yeah.
tea. So,
And I don't actually put any tea in mine. It's just the ginger, the lemon, and if I use cranberries, sometimes I'll put a little sweetener, usually brown sugar. But my husband likes honey in his.
wow. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds delicious. Well, great answer. Well, on that note, I'm going to end today's recording and just say thank you so much, Regina. It's been wonderful to talk to you. And I know that we're planning to do a LinkedIn Live together and as well
Yes.
as talk about another, be a guest on your podcast as well. But it's a pleasure to know you. And
Thank you.
anyone that works with you will be so grateful and they will see tremendous help and growth in their business. So
Thank you.
if you're listening to this and you're wondering, okay, what should I be doing about how I'm growing my business and how I'm going to get out of my business eventually, you may want to come and check out Regina at Bridgeport Strategies. Thanks again, Regina. I've loved
Thank you,
doing this
Christy.
with you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You're welcome.